Chairman. I was on the Education Select Committee at the time that this bill was first being heard, and I travelled around the country and listened to the submissions on the bill, and it is simply a matter of fact that 98% of the nearly 5,000 submissions on this bill, 4,800 submissions, were opposed. So the date of commencement of this bill, Mr. Chair, which is the clause that we are looking at the moment, really is a clause that could be endlessly amended, and my colleague Grant Robertson has amendments to that effect. The truth of the matter is that most of the people who submitted on this bill, the vast majority of those who submitted on this bill, didn't want this bill to commence at all, on any date, not on the 1st of January 2012, as in the bill, or on any date at all. It doesn't matter which date is in this bill, because the majority of people didn't want it to commence. And I want to just explore that a moment, because this bill, and we've just been having the debate about the title and the fact that it is the Freedom of Association Amendment Bill, not only is that a complete misnomer, but the date at which it is to commence it becomes null and void in the light of the very strong submissions opposing this bill. And so the question arises, why would anybody want to support Clause 2 when nobody wanted the bill in the first place, with the exception of the ACT Party and a couple of submitters who were self-confessed members of the ACT Party? So the only people who got up to support the commencement of this bill, Mr. Chair, are people who are signed-up members of the ACT Party. And this is not sufficient to justify the National Party's capitulation on this bill to do away with, on the 1st of January 2012, a bill that the National Party, a piece of legislation that the National Party itself was responsible for and which was working perfectly adequately. Just touching on the issue of freedom of association, the date of commencement, the 1st of January 2012, will be a date, if it passes and the National Party doesn't reconsider and find some fortitude around this issue, if they do not reconsider and this is the commencement date, that will be a date on which the freedom of association can be marked as being undermined in this country, not enhanced. The freedom of association is a freedom, and a principled freedom, which has been fought for and died for by many people around the world over centuries. The freedom of association is something that exists as a positive right in the environment where association is not allowed. The freedom to associate is an active right. What this bill will do, if it commences on the 1st of January 2012, Mr. Chair, is to provide the environment where freedom of association is not possible. Because students' associations, I'll tell that member why. Students' associations exist because of the economies of scale. Advocacy services, counselling services, all of the other recreational services would not exist and will not exist if this bill comes into force on the 1st of January 2012. If that is to happen on that date, then this bill will deprive people of the right to associate, because people who will need advocacy and independent advocates, let's just take that as an example, in a university or a polytechnic situation, will have to pay, Mr. Chair,
Honourable Marianne
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. People will have to pay for the services of a lawyer or an advocate, which will cost them a great deal more than it costs to be enrolled and enlisted in a students' association now, and by the sheer numbers and volume of those that membership.
Order. Sorry to interrupt the member, but the time has come for me to report progress.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, the committee has considered the Education Freedom of Association Amendment Bill and reports progress. The Committee on the Employment Relations Secret Ballot for Strikes Amendment Bill reports no progress. Mr. Speaker, I move that the report be adopted.
Questioners of the reports be adopted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary opinion will say no. The single aye has it. These bills are set down for further consideration next sitting day. Members, House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, Paul Mario.